Today we shall start the basic principles of polymer synthesis. For any targeted polymeric product, we need some polymer raw material or polymer as raw material, and that polymer is converted to product by mixing with some functional additives. I have already mentioned this aspect to you in my last lecture. Now, we will concentrate our attention to the manufacture of that polymer as raw material or polymer raw material. That means the virgin polymer material, pure polymer material from its monomers. There are various principles which are followed for the manufacture of such polymers, and you have seen from the classification scheme that there are condensation polymers, there are addition chain polymers. You have seen, because those condensation polymers or addition chain polymers or step polymers are manufactured by following certain principles of synthesis. Now, here in this slide you see monomer in general needs to be converted to a polymer. This is small molecule, this is macromolecule. Then in order to conversion of this monomer to polymer, there are certain requirements. That requirement, the first and foremost requirement is the functionality, means number of reactive functional groups or sites available in the monomer. Then only we can convert it to a polymer of large molecular weight, large molecular size. Then what is that functionality? What is the minimum functionality required for getting a polymer? We can have a chemical compound whose functional group may be 1. Is it polymerizable to a high molecular weight product? No. So, minimum requirement of functionality is 2, at least 2 sites should be there. Then only with the help of those 2 reactive sites, it can link up with one another, forming a very big macro molecule known as polymer materials. Then if there is minimum functionality of 2, then what is there any maximum requirement of functionality? Can it be 3? Can it be 4? Can it be 5? Yes, it is possible to have 4 or 5 or 3 reactive functional sites on a molecule. Then what will happen to the polymer structure, polymer product, or what kinds of conditions are necessary to convert those monomer molecules having more than 2, 3 functional groups leading to a polymer? Those things should be considered. Why I am telling these things? Because if people may need to synthesize a new polymer, may need to design a new polymer from a new monomer. So, you have to concentrate your attention to the various functional groups present over there. How many functional groups are present over there? Say for example, if the functionality is more than 2, what will happen? If the functional sites are 2, then it is a bifunctional monomer, it will lead to a linear macromolecular chain. If there is a third functional group, what will happen? Suppose this is a molecule having one functional group here, another functional group here. So, it will lead to a polymer like this, joining at these functional sites, leading to a macromolecular chain. Or you can have molecule like this, all they are reactive. Of course, the nature of this functional group is different from the nature of this functional group, otherwise it can react. Say a diol cannot lead to a polymer, but a hydroxy acid can lead to a polymer like that. So, a trifunctional monomer in which one may be carboxyl group, another may be hydroxyl group, and this may be again a carboxyl group. You go on thinking what might happen. Trifunctional, or you can have a tetrafunctional monomer, you can have a pentafunctional monomer, say pentaerythritol. Those who have this chemistry background, you know the formula of pentaerythritol, you know the formula of glycerol, that is also an alcohol. If you react glycerol with phthalic anhydride, what will be the nature of product? What will happen during polymerization? So, these things will come across gradually and we will see. So, we have to look into the nature of polymer product. Looking at those points, we have to go for a proper selection of monomer before synthesizing a polymer. First of all, you have to select what polymer we are going to synthesize, a polyester or polyethylene. If you want to need a polyester, if you want to have a polyester, then we should select a principle for step reaction polymerization involving some monomers which will lead to an ester functional group after reaction between the reactive functional groups. All right. So, polymerization principle you know already. The step reaction principle, I have explained what is step reaction principle, because these polymers are synthesized involving reaction between a carboxyl group and a hydroxyl group, or a carboxyl group and an amine group, leading to ester or amide group. So, leading to polyester or polyamide, and I mentioned that these occurs in steps, means first of all one diol reacts with a diacid to form an intermediate. Okay. That intermediate will react with either one diol molecule or one diacid molecule or both. So, this way you will have several numbers of intermediate compounds known as dimer, trimer, tetramer, pentamer, hexamer, like this. So, those occur in steps. That is why this polymerization principle is known as step reaction principle. Yes, your question please. Yes, diol and a diacid, you should also take a diol. Look at this. What is this? Diacid. What is this? Diol. So, it will lead to this is an intermediate, at this end an acid group, at this end an alcohol group. So, this will further react at this site with one acid functional group. and this side will react with an alcohol functional group. I am sorry. Right. So, this intermediate has a capability of reacting with one diol molecule at one side, one acid molecule, one diacid on the other side. So, this way it will continue to go on increasing the length, and these reactions occurs in so many different steps. And you know, these esterification reactions or amidification reactions are all equilibrium type reactions. They set an equilibrium after certain progress. So, equilibrium means that means the product can revert back to the reactants. That means there is a dynamic equilibrium between the reactants and the product, until and unless some of the products or any of the products are removed from the reaction mixes. That means you have to break the equilibrium by removing the reaction product. So, in this case some water molecule is produced as a byproduct. Now, if that water molecule is removed from the reaction chamber, reaction medium, then this reaction will proceed towards the forward direction, breaking the equilibrium. This is a principle, you know. Otherwise, you cannot get the growth of progress of reaction. You will not get product until and unless you break the equilibrium. Anyway, this is the nature of step reaction polymerization, and there are other principles, chain reaction polymerization, which can occur through periodical mechanism or ionic mechanism or coordination reaction mechanism. Apart from this, actually we have we have to follow various techniques of polymer manufacture: bulk, solution, suspension. That means polymerization in bulk, polymerization in solution. Bulk means without using any solvent. Polymerization in solution means you dissolve the monomers in a suitable solvent, apply sufficient and necessary conditions, it will start polymerization and continue. Finally, you isolate the product and purify, and product is a polymer. Then emulsion polymerization technique and suspension polymerization technique. There are other techniques like, say, interfacial polycondensation technique. If possible, I will discuss little detail later. Actually, I find there is certain changes that has occurred during this copying and transferring this file from one computer to the other computer. There is something missing here. Now, let us concentrate our attention to these principles of condensation polymerization. As I mentioned earlier, let us look into the characteristics of this condensation polymerization. Once again, I am telling, this condensation polymerization occurs in steps through oligomeric intermediates. Oligomeric means, oligo means small, smaller intermediate products, oligomeric intermediates. Then there is a byproduct elimination. It introduces heteroatoms in the polymer chain. It introduces some heteroatom in the polymer chain. the reaction is slow, polymerization reaction is slow. It takes long time to complete, to get a product, polymer product. And one most important parameter is this kind of step reaction polymerization, polycondensation reaction needs a very strict control of purity and reaction stoichiometry. Stoichiometry, I mean, here you see you have taken this monomer, diacid monomer, and this diol monomer, then what is the molar ratio or mole ratio of these monomers? It implies here for this particular case it involves 1 mole of diacid with 1 mole of dialcohol, diol. In paper we are writing, but in real situation when you will be asked to synthesize a polymer using certain quantity of 1 mole of diacid and 1 mole of dialcohol, what you will do? You will calculate the molecular weight of these two compounds, then you have to weigh the amounts corresponding to 1 mole of each, then mix these two reactants in presence or absence of solvent, apply polymerization conditions, and it will start polymerization. But while you are weighing these two reactants, you have to be ensured that these reactants are perfectly pure, means having 100% purity, this diacid and diol. These are chemical compounds. So, you have to know the purity level of these things. If they are not 100% pure, then the amount you are weighing, can it be 1 mole exactly? No. So, there is something wrong weights, wrong amounts you are taking. So, there is no strict control of the ratio of the mole ratio of these two reactants. This ratio is called stoichiometric ratio, stoichiometry between the reactants. This is a problem in condensation polymerization. What will happen? You will see later. You will see if there is some impurity or if there is some mistake during weighing of these two reactants, then you may not get a polymer of high molecular weight. Those who will be doing lab class for synthesis of phenol and formaldehyde or synthesis of other polymers, you will see you may or may not get a polymer. If you do not get polymer, then you have to inquire there is something wrong in weighing or some impurities are there. So, you have to be very much careful. So, you have to control, you have to be ensured that these are pure, as well as when you are taking the weights, their weights must be taken in right proportion. Okay. Then you go for polymerization. Now, when you go for polymerization or when you going to you go to start the polymerization, what is happening? There is something wrong. This should be uncatalyzed polymerization. There is uncatalyzed, here it is written unanalyzed polymerization. I corrected it, I do not know, somehow this wrong file has come. Uncatalyzed polymerization and catalyzed polymerization. Okay. Polyester synthesis, it needs a catalyst. What are the catalysts? Sulfuric concentrated sulfuric acid, para-toluene toluene sulfuric acid, chlorosulfonic acid, etc. Any strong acid you have to take as a catalyst for this polymerization, or even you can do this polymerization without using any catalyst, provided if it is a polyamidification reaction or polyesterification reaction, because one of the reactants is acid. So, one of the reactants can perform as a catalyst also, that we will see. Then influence of catalyst on polymer production rate and molecular weight. Is there the influence of catalyst on the production rate of the polymer? How fast it will be produced or not? We have to see. We have to theoretically calculate. Then is control of molecular weight. So, in this molecular weight control, we will see what is the value of degree of polymerization that could be achieved after the polymer product is isolated. We have to assess that, we have to find out, we have to evaluate that. And what is the extent of reaction? Means what is, to what percentage of monomers have been converted to a polymer, that is called extent of reaction. Then one equation we will deal with, that is Carothers equation. We will see the derivation. Again there is something wrong here. Well, do not worry, I will explain. Now, this is a condensation polymer we are synthesizing here today, we are discussing here. Now, if you take, if you synthesize polyethylene, there is no problem. You take ethylene, simply you can write the formula of polyethylene like this. But in case of polyester, the situation is little different. Here we are considering this as monomer, this as polymer. Then here we are starting with these two compounds, which one we should consider as monomer. What is the formula of the monomer then? Because as per the definition of the polymer, the monomer unit has to repeat large number of times along the polymer backbone chain. So, what is the formula of the monomer unit in the polymer in case of condensation polymer? Okay. So, for a polyester, it is the structural unit. For a polyester, it is the structural unit, that is the residue for each diol or diacid. So, this is a diacid. From diacid, what is removed? What is retained? This portion is retained. And from diol, this portion is retained. You see? So, here RCOO, again R prime is coming, OH. So, this thing is coming. So, this is the residue from diol and diacid. This is the monomer unit in a condensation polymerization. This is the monomer unit from here to here. Okay. So, in order to calculate the molecular weight of a polymer, how can you calculate in case of condensation polymer and in case of addition chain polymer? Here you see the calculation of molecular weight of addition chain polymer, it is very easy. Molecular weight of the monomer is here 28, here is n number of 20 units of mass 28 are present in the polymer chain. So, molecular weight in this case is very easy to calculate, 28 n. This is the molecular weight. If n is 50,000, that is the molecular weight. If n is 10,000, that is the molecular weight multiplied by 28. In this case, so you have to calculate the molecular weight, molecular mass, taking from the CO, R, CO, O, R prime and O. So, molecular weight of a polymer, condensation polymer, you should take the mass of monomer residue or structural unit into degree of polymerization plus molecular weight of end group. What are the end groups? Because this will continue to increase, repeating this portion residue within the parenthesis, within the third bracket, and outside the bracket there will be one OH and one H. So, molecular weight of the end groups here 18. If it is a case of polyamide, OH and H, not NH, OH and H, acid and amine. You see, you verify. Sometimes it is HCl, sometimes it will be NaCl, depending on the reactive functional groups present in the monomeric unit. Okay. Then what is degree of polymerization then? How we can calculate? Degree of polymerization is equal to, that is the number of molecules initially present divided by number of molecules present at any instant of time during the polymer growth. Here it is written. So, degree of polymerization here, later for the simplicity, sake of simplicity, we write number average degree of polymerization. We will clarify later what do we mean by number average molecular weight. There are other average molecular weight designations: weight average molecular weight, viscosity average molecular weight. We are not coming to those complexity at this moment. I shall discuss in future lectures. Today, for the time being, you see degree of polymerization is equivalent to number average degree of polymerization, means it is based on number count of molecules, and the concept of average molecular weight in polymer comes from the situation already I explained in previous classes, that these polymer molecules in a mass of polymer, in a sample of polymer, does not contain the same molecular weight, do not contain the same molecular weight. There is a distribution of molecular size. Here lies a difference between discrete small molecular compounds and polymeric compounds. A mass of polymer contains molecules of different sizes. A mass of discrete molecule contains molecules of same equivalent sizes, identical sizes and molecular weight, molecular formula. Here in a polymer mass, the situation is different. Here there is a distribution of sizes of different sized molecules, and you will get an average distribution. That is why you have to express this molecular mass or molecular weight as average, might be number average based on number count, or weight average based on weight count. All right, we will discuss later in detail. So, that weight number average molecular weight that is actually designated by xn bar is equal to n0 by n, number of molecules initially present divided by number of molecules present at any time during the growth of polymer molecules during polymerization. Is it clear? Do not forget this, xn bar is equal to n0 by n. And if you start with bifunctional molecules, then the total number of functional groups would be twice n0 by twice n, basically the same, xn bar. Now, let us have a concept now, extent of polymerization. What is this extent of polymerization? It is very simple. Extent of run, extent of growth. To what extent growth is there? 80%, 90%, 50%, 5% or no, or 100%, 100%, 10% growth. That is called extent of any function, extent of any function, say extent of reaction, that is called fraction of reaction, or extent of conversion of the monomers to polymer, designated by P, small p, the fraction of the either hydroxyl groups or carboxyl groups or both are converted to a polymer or reacted to form a polymer at time t. Here you see a term m under third bracket, that is the concentration of monomer. This designates concentration of monomer, okay, at any instant of time during polymer growth. How that can be calculated? That calculated from this thing. This is the initial concentration of the monomer, and we have to find out how much monomer molecules have been consumed to form an intermediate or even some polymer. If the extent of reaction is P, so P multiplied with initial concentration gives you the amount of monomer that has been consumed or converted to polymer. So, the concentration remaining then, monomer remaining then, initial concentration minus the amount that has been reacted. Okay. So, m0 into 1 minus p. So, this is the, so mass you can convert it into mass, then number into mass of each. So, you can also write this way, m0 by m. Okay. So, if it is m0 by m, then here what is m? This is m0, 1 minus p, means xn bar is equal to 1 by 1 minus p. This is a form of, the simplest form of Carothers equation involving bifunctional monomer molecules, involving bifunctional compounds. 1 A plus 1 B leads to 1 A B. Now, let us examine one thing. Here 1 by 1 minus P, if P is equal to 1, 100% reaction means P is equal to 1, then theoretically if you take 100% pure monomers with strict control of molar ratio stoichiometry, it should lead to a molecular size of infinite molecular weight. Now, one question I can ask you, in that ideal situation, taking 100% pure monomer and perfect stoichiometry, then what will be the end groups present over there and how many numbers and how many molecules will be there? If you can clarify this concept, then you will understand polymer, otherwise it is difficult. You see, I am going very slowly for your understanding, because your background is different, otherwise I could have finished this portion in a 20 minutes time. How many molecules will be there? How many molecules will be there? Polymer molecule? 1 molecules. How many end groups will be there? 2. It's very simple. If there is, in this ideal situation, ideal case, you have taken 100% pure monomer and strictly 1:1 molar ratio. So, 1 molecule will be formed, and at there will be 2 ends only. At one end there will be 1 carboxyl group and the other end will be 1 hydroxyl group, provided the reaction is 100%. Clear? Then you can move around anywhere. This is the ideal situation. You can deviate from this ideality to any other situation. So, you can have a mixture of molecules of different sizes. So, you can you can imagine the number of end groups that will be present, number of functional groups that will be present. Now, this gives you a clue how to monitor the growth of such reaction. Here in this particular case, you have started with a diol and a diacid. So, either you can go for estimation of alcohol or acid group by simple stoichiometric method. Is it not possible? At any instant of a polymerization, polymer growth, if you estimate the concentration of hydroxyl group, alcohol group or acid group, can you not say this is the growth? Initially you have taken, you know, that is your known value. At any time you are calculating. So, what is the concentration remaining? You can know. So, you can calculate the growth. So, the value of P you can evaluate. P may be 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.56, like this, 0.8, 0.9, like this. That means you can follow the kinetics, reaction kinetics. You can follow the reaction kinetics. Is it clear? No ambiguity, no doubt. There will be numerical calculations from these things, and I refer you a book, Principles of Polymer Chemistry, by George Odion, published by John Wiley. It is a very good book. There are copies in the library, or Indian edition is available. That is the most authentic book, or else you can see another book. Sorry. You have to go for numerical calculations, calculation of polymerization rate, calculation of polymer growth, calculation of percent conversion, calculation of molecular weight of the product. Yes, please.
This M0 and M, these are in terms of molecular weight of the monomers.
Of course, sure.
Then how do you find
This Mn bar you see molecular weight, number average molecular weight. This is the number average degree of polymerization multiplied by molecular weight of the monomer M0. Here you see MEG is there. Actually this M0 here, M0 is the mean molecular weights of two structural units. I showed in the previous structural unit. That means the portion within the parenthesis. This is not a concentration term. Molecular weight of the structural unit enclosed within the third bracket multiplied by this degree of polymerization, plus two end groups will be there, mass of the end groups, left side, right side, and Xn bar is equal to 1 by 1 minus P, this thing. It's very simple, but you have to do practice. Okay. I am going to the next slide.
Sir, what is the parameter which decides the different chain length polymer molecule?
That is a very good question. Which parameters are responsible or dependent to form, he is asking, leading to molecules of different sizes. Now you know, any reaction that occurs due to the collision of the random collision of the reactive species in a reaction chamber, am I correct? Out of 10 to the power 13 collisions, one collision might be effective in carrying out the reaction. Okay. So in a chamber, in a reactor, you have taken these monomers are colliding with each other, probably they are not achieving their sufficient activation energy to start that reaction. Okay. If one collision achieves that activation energy, then that will start the reaction. So that is a dimer, then that dimer will be collided with a monomer or a dimer or a trimer like this. So this way there are random collision among the units present in the polymerization mass. Do you understand? And such this way growth occurs, and sometimes we stop the growth, stop the polymerization to isolate the product. Otherwise, if you allow the reactions to be completed for infinite period of time, because this is a step reaction polymerization is slow. There will be, from your side you see curve will be like this, rate will be slowed down asymptotically, it will continue for infinite period. I tell you one thing, suppose this is a polymer made up, say, made by condensation process, step reaction process. Somewhere the polymerization of this product was stopped. That does not mean that the polymerization of the reactive monomers taken for making this polymer was completed. Polymerization remained incomplete where we have frozen the polymerization. We have stopped the polymerization by freezing the reaction mixture or polymerization mass. Then you have formed this product. Then you are using this thing. Now this is subjected or exposed to this ambient conditions of temperature, pressure, humidity, light, radiation, so on and so forth. So these are again, these environmental parameters become agencies to carry out the residual polymerization reaction inside this material. You understand? So there is slow growth of this polymer inside this article. So initially when this product was made, it contained a set of properties, mechanical properties, thermal properties, optical properties, all sorts of properties. After certain period of its life, the set of property changes because of this growth of this polymerization. Do you understand? So these are the reasons for which we find a mixture of molecules of varying sizes, different sizes. Am I clear to you? Since these are collision reactions, random collisions one with other. So if I allow you to start wrestling or this fighting, what will be the product? Only blood. You can find some of your finger is removed, some of your leg is removed, palm is removed, nose is removed, and some teeth also goes also. So the products are different, and then your mass will be different. A part of your body is removed, your weight may be decreased by 1 kg or 2 kg like this. It is like this. So if there are some reactions, interactions, reaction means interaction. If there are some interaction, so it may not lead to of same size, a product of same size. Of course, if you want to make one product only out of smashing all of you, all of us, then we will get a mass of tissues. That's different thing. So I think I am clear to you. Now, the basic situation I have told. Now let us concentrate little bit into chemistry. If you don't like, I will not go in detail. Now what happens actually, you may be curious enough, what happens during this growth of polymerization involving an acid and alcohol? Nobody bothers to think, but this is the situation. Here you see a carboxyl group reacts with one alcohol, hydroxy, this is acid, acid, protonation, this is acid. So it can add some protein to this thing. So this carbon will be protonated. Now this protonated species will react with the alcohol, forming again this intermediate. This intermediate rearranges itself to form an ester functional group, producing a byproduct molecule H2O. and releasing back the proton. Since this proton acted here as a catalyst, you know the basic concept of catalyst, function of catalyst is it is not consumed during the process, but it helps the process to lower the activation energy, it helps the process to carry out. So, here acid is removed, means regenerated. So, this is the basic mechanism of esterification, how it occurs. Then you see how to write down the rate of esterification or rate of polymerization. Very simple. Now, if I ask you, if somebody asks you, do not be scared of this polymerization rate, the reaction kinetics, reaction rate, do not be scared of, please. It is a very simple thing. Suppose in this room we are say 30 people are sitting in this room. Now, if you are told one by one go out of this room, okay. So, there is only one door, one person will go out, then the second person will go, then the third person will go out. So, this way it will take some certain period of time to evacuate this room, or all of a sudden if there is a bomb outside in the backside of you, there is a timer. If there is a timer and you find only 5 seconds is left for the blast, then what will happen? Everybody will rush to the door and try to effuse out of the door. So, the rate of this diffusion or effusion from this room will be different. The time required for this process to occur, how much time you are taking from going out of this room to the corridor. Simple here also. Now, you consider yourself as reactants. You consider yourself as reactants. Here carboxyl groups or hydroxyl groups are reactants. So, rate is calculated here, the time taken by you people to go out of this room, number of people going out divided by time, that is the rate. That is the rate. 2 persons in 2 seconds or 5 seconds. So, 2 by 5 gives you an idea of the rate. Here also, how many carboxyl groups are exhausted or hydroxyl groups are exhausted, because what your what is it called disappearance of one carboxyl groups means disappearance along with a hydroxyl group. Disappearance of one carboxyl group means disappearance of one hydroxyl group also, because this disappearance occurs by as a result of reaction between carboxyl and hydroxyl group. So, either you can express in the form of disappearance of carboxyl group or hydroxyl groups, it is all the same. Now, here you see this is proportional to or equal to some rate constant and the concentration of the protonated species and the hydroxyl group. And I have taken this thing from that Odian's book. You please read that, very simple. I have given you the background how to understand. So, this K is equal to K1 by K2. In the previous slide, these are the rate constant, these are all equilibrium type reactions. Now, in order to get this ester, this reaction, this step has to be reversible, This step is to be reversible, otherwise we cannot get the product. So, these are the various rate constants for different intermediates here, and ultimately all those rate constants are involved in the rate equation, and overall rate of esterification or overall rate of polymerization can be calculated considering the concentration of taking the concentration of carboxyl group, hydroxyl group, and this involving this acid as a concentration term in the rate equation. There are certain regions, I will explain later. Okay. Okay, thank you.